The moment that stunned the tennis world wasn't just the sight of Coco Gauff walking to the net after just 54 minutes of play. It wasn't the medical timeout, the compression wrap on her left arm, or even the retirement that handed Alex Eala the biggest win of her career. It was what happened next. Standing face to face with the 20-year-old Filipina who had just watched her friend crumble in pain, Gauff did something nobody expected. Later, in a press conference that left reporters speechless, she revealed the words Eala whispered at the net, and then went even further. She declared that despite the injury, despite the loss, despite everything, Alex Eala was the best player she faced all tournament. Not just the best opponent, the best player, period. Just 18 days. That's all the time that separated Alex Eala's humiliating 6-0, 6-2 quarterfinal loss to Coco Gauff in Dubai from their third-round showdown at Indian Wells. 18 days for a 20-year-old to process a beatdown from one of the best players in the world. 18 days to figure out what went wrong. 18 days to rebuild. For most players, that kind of scoreline would linger. It would echo in the mind during practice, creep into the late-night thoughts before big matches, become a weight that's hard to shake. But Alex Eala isn't most players. When Eala walked onto Stadium 1 at the Indian Wells Tennis Garden on March 8, 2026, she carried something different with her. Not the memory of defeat, but the lessons from it. And the 16,000 fans packed into the second-largest tennis stadium in the world could sense something had shifted. The first set told the story. Gone was the tentative player who had been overwhelmed in Dubai. In her place stood a left-handed force armed with sharper serves, disciplined baseline play, and a composure that made her look 5 years older than she actually is. Eala dictated the tempo from the opening rally, breaking Gauff 3 times in the first 5 games. When Gauff led 2-1 early, Eala responded by winning 5 straight games, a gritty comeback in the extended 4th game, a sweep in the 5th, and a dominant hold to clinch the set 6-2. The numbers were staggering. Eala delivered an incredible 96% first serve rate and converted 5 of 6 breakpoints, 0 double faults. Meanwhile, Gauff, who leads the WTA Tour in double faults this season, committed 7 in the first set alone. Something was clearly wrong. Late in the set, trailing 2-5, Gauff called for a medical timeout. A trainer rushed onto the court, massaging her left shoulder and arm before applying a compression wrap around her forearm. When play resumed, Gauff thought through, but the damage was done. Eala held serve to take the set and carried that momentum into the second, quickly building a 2-0 lead. That's when Gauff walked to the net. After just 54 minutes, the match was over. But the most important moment was just beginning. As Gauff approached, her face a mixture of pain and disappointment, Eala stepped forward and wrapped her arms around her friend and former doubles partner. For a few seconds, they embraced in silence. Then Eala leaned in and whispered something directly into Gauff's ear. The cameras captured the moment, but the words remained private, until Gauff sat down for her post-match press conference. "No, she just told me I hope I feel better and things like that," Gauff revealed. Simple words, genuine concern. In that moment, Eala wasn't thinking about the victory, the rankings points, or the milestone win over a top 5 player. She was thinking about the person across the net. Gauff continued, "I felt really bad to pull out. You never want to pull out, but more so for her, because she was playing great tennis, and I don't want to take anything away from the way that she was playing." Notice what happened there. Even in the midst of her own physical crisis, an injury she later described as feeling like a firework going off inside my arm, Gauff's first instinct was to worry about Eala, to worry that her retirement might diminish what her opponent had accomplished. But Eala wouldn't let that happen. Later, during her on-court interview, she made sure everyone understood the moment. "I really didn't want to win this way, but this is still a really big moment for me to be able to play on Stadium 1 of Indian Wells and against such a great competitor," Eala said. Then she turned to Gauff directly. "I really hope that everything is well and that you recover soon." And then, because it was International Women's Day, Eala did something that left the stadium in tears. "I want to say thank you to all the incredible women who have paved the way and advocated for themselves and for other women. Among them is Coco. So thank you, Coco, for being an amazing competitor and an amazing role model." But she wasn't finished. Scanning the stands until she found one face in particular, Eala continued, "I also want to say Happy Women's Day to my mom, who is there in the stands. I want to thank her for being the amazing woman that she is and for helping me become the woman that I am." The stadium erupted. Social media lit up, and somewhere in that crowd, Riza Eala wiped away tears, watching her daughter become something more than a tennis player. The next day, as news of Gauff's injury spread and the tennis world processed what had happened, Coco Gauff sat down for another round of interviews. Her left arm was still wrapped, the MRI results were still pending, but she had something she needed to say. When asked about Eala's performance, Gauff didn't hesitate. "She was the best player I faced at Indian Wells," Gauff declared. "Even before the injury, even when I was healthy at the start, she was better. The way she adjusted from Dubai, the way she came out with a plan, the way she executed, that's what champions do." Let that sink in. Coco Gauff, world number 4, two-time Grand Slam champion, one of the most talented players of her generation, publicly declaring that a 20-year-old ranked outside the top 30 was the best player she faced all tournament. Not just the toughest opponent, the best, period. And she wasn't finished. "People don't understand what she carries," Gauff continued. "Everywhere she goes, there are thousands of fans, thousands of flags, thousands of people who traveled across oceans just to watch her practice. That weight would crush most players. She handles it like she's been doing this for 20 years. Gauff knows something about carrying weight. She burst onto the scene as a 15-year-old, beating Venus Williams at Wimbledon, carrying the hopes of American tennis on her teenage shoulders. She understands what it means to have millions watching your every move, analyzing your every shot, expecting greatness before you're ready to deliver it. But Eala's weight is different. She's not just carrying expectations, she's carrying an entire nation that never had a tennis player before. A diaspora scattered across the globe that finally has someone to rally behind. A community that shows up in numbers that leave even tournament directors stunned. In Dubai, just weeks earlier, Gauff had witnessed it firsthand. After beating Eala 6-0, 6-2, she addressed the crowd directly. "Thank you guys for coming out here. I know you were mostly supporting Alex, but I have to say, it's great to be on a crowded court. I'd like to thank Alex for bringing a new demographic to the sport. I really appreciate it. I think it's great." She added with a laugh, "Whenever you guys were cheering for Alex, I was pretending that it was my name. If you can't beat them, you've got to join them." Now, after watching Eala handle the biggest moment of her season with grace, humility, and world-class tennis, Gauff's respect had only grown. Gauff's declaration wasn't just sentiment, it was backed by cold, hard statistics. Against Gauff, Eala posted numbers that would make any coach proud. A 68% first serve percentage, 59% of points won on that first serve, 5 of 6 break points converted, 0 double faults in a match against one of the most athletic players on tour. Compare that to Gauff's performance, 44% first serves in, 49% of points won on first serve, 7 double faults. The contrast was stark. But Eala's Indian Wells run was about more than one match. In the previous round, she battled past Diana Yastremska in a grueling 3-set marathon, 7-5, 4-6, 7-5, a match that tested her resilience in mental toughness in ways that stats can't capture. That victory set the stage for the Gauff showdown and proved that Eala could win even when her best tennis wasn't there. The Gauff match was different. It was a statement. It was Eala announcing that the player who got crushed in Dubai was gone, replaced by someone who belonged in the conversation with the sport's elite. Even after advancing, Eala stayed grounded. "There's no specific technique that I use. I think I've gained certain experience over the years in how to handle these high-pressure situations," she explained. What I try to do is just focus on the next thing that I have to do. I try not to think of the bigger picture and instead focus on what I can control. That focus carried her through. Unfortunately, the run would end in the next round against Linda Noskova, who defeated Eala 6-2, 6-0, a crushing loss that showed how quickly momentum can shift in tennis. The Czech powerhouse unleashed 7 aces, breaking Eala's spirit and sending the Filipina crowd home disappointed. But even in defeat, perspective mattered. Eala's round of 16 finish earned her $105,720 in prize money and enough ranking points to push her to a career-high number 28 in the world. More importantly, it cemented what Gauff had already declared: Alex Eala belonged. The story of Indian Wells 2026 isn't really about a retirement. It's not about an injury or a win that came in bittersweet fashion. It's about respect, the kind that runs so deep that even in defeat, even in pain, even when everything goes wrong, players can't help but acknowledge greatness when they see it. Coco Gauff saw it. Through the fog of her own physical crisis, through the disappointment of a tournament ended too soon, she recognized something special in the 20-year-old standing across the net. "She was the best player I faced," Gauff said. "Not the toughest, not the most surprising, the best." Those words carry weight because they come from someone who knows what best looks like. Gauff has faced Iga Świątek, Aryna Sabalenka, Elena Rybakina, the absolute elite of women's tennis. She's won Grand Slams, played under the brightest lights, delivered when it mattered most. When she says Alex Eala belongs in that conversation, the tennis world should listen. And what makes Eala special isn't just her tennis, it's how she carries herself through everything else. The crowds that follow her everywhere, the expectations of 115 million Filipinos who never had a tennis star before, the pressure of being not just an athlete, but a symbol. "I do my best to stay humble and keep my feet on the ground," Eala said after the Gauff match. "I'm surrounded by so many amazing players, and tennis is a very humbling sport because you learn how to lose and be self-aware." That humility, combined with that fire, is what makes her dangerous. It's what makes Gauff's declaration feel like the beginning of something, not the end. As the tour moves from Indian Wells to Miami, the tournament where Eala's fairy tale began 1 year ago, the stakes only get higher. Those 390 ranking points from her 2025 semifinal run expire the moment she steps on court. Fail to match that result, and her top 30 spot vanishes. Succeed, and the door to the top 20 swings open. But Eala isn't worried. "It doesn't matter if I win the tournament in Miami or if I lose in the first round. I know I'm here, and I'm here to stay," she said. Gauff believes her. After Indian Wells, after the whisper at the net, after everything that happened in those 54 minutes, the American star is convinced Alex Eala isn't just a rising talent, she's the real deal. And when Coco Gauff declares you the best, the tennis world has no choice but to pay attention. The question now is simple. What happens when they meet again, healthy, at full strength, with everything on the line? Coco Gauff just did something rare in sports. She looked past her own pain, past her own disappointment, and gave credit where credit was due. Alex Eala wasn't just the opponent who benefited from an injury. She was the best player at Indian Wells, according to a 2-time Grand Slam champion who knows greatness when she sees it. Now the spotlight shifts to Miami, where Eala returns to the scene of her 2025 breakthrough. The fans will be there, the flags will wave, and somewhere in the stands, a 21-year-old American might be watching, rooting for the woman she once called a friend, the woman who whispered kindness at the net, the woman she declared the best. Was Gauff right? Is Alex Eala ready to join the sports elite? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're there, hit that like button and subscribe to Rally Radar for more stories that go beyond the scoreline.